In my journey of growth and understanding, one lesson has stood out above many others. Silence protects dreams. I've come to realize that sharing my goals prematurely can expose them to forces that are not always constructive. Doubt, skepticism, envy, or even misguided opinions. Just like a seed planted in the ground, dreams need to be nurtured in the quiet, protected from external elements until they are strong enough to sprout and face the world. When you plant a seed, you don't constantly pull it up to check its progress. You let it rest in the soil, providing it with water and light, allowing it to grow in its own time. Dreams work the same way. In their early stages, they are fragile and vulnerable to negative influences. If we expose them too soon, they can be stunted or even killed before they have a chance to grow. I've learned this lesson the hard way. There were times when I shared my dreams with the wrong people, those who couldn't see my vision or who doubted my potential. Their skepticism, even if unspoken, planted seeds of fear in my mind, causing me to question my abilities. I also learned that sharing dreams too early can bring unnecessary pressure, shifting my focus from the process to proving myself to others. This is why I've come to appreciate the power of silence. When I keep my dreams close to my heart, they remain untarnished by others' doubts. Silence helps me protect my vision, allowing me to cultivate focus and clarity without external interference. It is in the quiet that I can hear my own thoughts clearly and connect with the divine guidance that directs my path. The Bible reinforces the importance of silence. Proverbs 21:23 says, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." This verse reminds me that restraint is key to peace and success. Silence isn't about fear, it's about wisdom and faith in divine timing. When the time is right, my actions will speak for themselves, and I won't need to explain or defend my dreams. Nehemiah's story in the Bible serves as another example of the power of silence. When he set out to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, he didn't announce his plans prematurely. He understood that opposition would arise, and sharing his vision too early would invite unnecessary distractions. Nehemiah knew that silent preparation was essential for success. I've come to realize that silence doesn't mean inaction. On the contrary, it creates the perfect conditions for action to thrive. In stillness, I can reflect, strategize, and build without distraction. It's in these moments of silence that I'm most connected to my purpose, grounded in my faith and ready to act when the time is right. Silence is not weakness, but strength, patience, and trust in divine timing. As I continue walking this path, I embrace silence as both a shield and a stage. It shields my dreams from harm while they're growing, and when the time comes, it becomes the stage upon which my success can shine. There's a deep satisfaction in knowing that my progress doesn't require validation from others. I don't need applause or approval while I'm building, because I know my work will speak for itself in due time. So I encourage you to protect your dreams, nurture them in the quiet. Water them with faith, hard work, and patience. Let them grow strong in private, and when they're ready, they will bloom for the world to see. Silence isn't a void. It's a sacred space where dreams are born, strengthened, and prepared to thrive. Trust the process, trust yourself, and trust that in the silence, greatness is unfolding. I've come to realize that silence is often the wisest response, not out of fear or hesitation, but as an act of wisdom and faith. Proverbs 21:23 says, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." That simple yet profound truth has reshaped the way I approach my goals, my relationships, and my struggles. There's immense power in knowing when to speak and when to remain silent, because guarded words preserve peace, protect purpose, and invite unseen universal support to work on our behalf. I once thought that talking about my goals was a sign of confidence, that by sharing my plans, I was committing to them. But over time, I realized that the more I spoke, the more distractions emerged, unwanted opinions, skepticism, and negativity. I began to understand that silence isn't passivity, it's a form of active protection. It shields my focus, allowing me to work without interference. In a world that glorifies constant noise, talking, posting, proving, Proverbs teaches us the wisdom of guarding our tongues. Silence isn't just about avoiding conflict, it's about preserving inner peace. When I don't feel the need to explain, defend, or seek approval, I create space to nurture my dreams privately, free from judgment. Silence becomes a way of saying, I trust myself and the process. That trust invites unseen support, aligning circumstances in ways I can't fully comprehend. Jesus also demonstrated the power of silence. During his ministry, he often chose silence when questioned by people with impure motives. Instead of engaging in arguments, he knew that silence carried a weight words couldn't match. It's a reminder for me to choose my battles wisely and conserve my energy for what truly matters. Not every opinion requires a response, and not every challenge deserves my attention. Silence also brings clarity. When I quiet my mind and mouth, I can hear my thoughts and intuition more clearly. In those still moments, answers often come. Solutions tend to reveal themselves when I stop overthinking and allow myself to be. That's the beauty of silence. It creates space for wisdom to flow in, free from unnecessary distractions. Ultimately, silence is a form of surrender, a way of saying, I don't need to control everything. When I stop over-explaining and talking, I allow things to unfold naturally. Often our need to speak comes from insecurity or impatience. We seek validation or instant results. But the truth is, real progress happens in the unseen, like roots growing underground. Growth doesn't need to be forced. It needs quiet consistency to thrive. Proverbs 21:23 reminds me that silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It keeps me aligned with my higher purpose. It keeps my peace intact, no matter what's happening around me. In silence, I don't give power to negativity or drama. Instead, I amplify my focus, faith, and unseen support. The universe, or God, hears what's in my heart and sees the work I'm putting in, even if no one else does. I don't need to make noise for my progress to be real. So I've learned to embrace the power of silence. I guard my words because I value my peace. I choose quiet dedication over empty noise. I trust that when the time is right, my actions will speak louder than anything I could ever say. And in the meantime, I rest in the truth that unseen support is already working for me, guiding, protecting, and amplifying everything I'm building in the silence. The story of Nehemiah, a man who rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem, not with fanfare and announcements, but with silent preparation and focused action. Nehemiah's story teaches us a powerful truth. There are moments when keeping your plans private is the wisest strategy, because silence protects vision, shields progress, and prevents unnecessary opposition from taking root. Nehemiah was faced with an enormous task. The walls of Jerusalem were in ruins, and rebuilding them meant restoring security, pride, and stability for his people. Yet instead of rushing to declare his plans to the world, he moved in silence. He surveyed the broken walls quietly at night, taking stock of the challenge ahead, formulating a plan before sharing it with anyone. That speaks volumes to me. He understood that premature announcements could open doors to doubt, criticism, and even sabotage. His silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom in action. I relate to Nehemiah's approach because I've experienced how easily sharing plans too soon can derail progress. There was a time when I thought being vocal about my goals proved my commitment, but I quickly realized that speaking too early invited opinions, distractions, and even negativity that I wasn't ready to deal with. Like Nehemiah, I had to learn the value of moving in silence until the foundation of my plan was strong enough to stand on its own. Sharing your dreams too soon can invite unnecessary opposition. Sometimes people project their own doubts and fears onto you with questions like, "Are you sure you can handle that?" Even well-meaning remarks can plant seeds of doubt that undermine your confidence. At other times, opposition can be more deliberate, with people criticizing or questioning your vision because they don't understand it. Nehemiah understood this well. He knew that revealing his plans too early would give his enemies time to oppose him. Instead, he shared his intentions selectively with those who were supportive. This taught me that not everyone deserves to know your dreams at every stage. Discernment is crucial in deciding when and with whom to share your plans. Nehemiah's story also highlights the importance of quiet preparation. Today, there's pressure to prove ourselves on social media, to constantly share our progress. But Nehemiah focused on the work itself, not on seeking approval. His success came from dedication, not validation. That's something I've embraced. My plans don't need to be public to succeed. When the time is right, the results will speak for themselves. Silence is not about hiding, it's about protecting the process. It gives you space to grow, focus, and align with your purpose. In these quiet moments, I find clarity and can hear my intuition more clearly. When Nehemiah finally revealed his plans, God's favor was already with him. Though opposition came, his preparation made him resilient. I've learned that when you trust the process, work in silence, and stay focused, favor will follow, and opposition won't prevail. Nehemiah's example has changed how I approach my dreams. I no longer feel the need to announce every step of my journey. Instead, I embrace the wisdom of silence, knowing that my quiet preparation will allow divine support to show up when needed. Like Nehemiah, I'll work quietly behind the scenes, and when the time comes, the results will speak for themselves. When you're walking a path of ascension, when you're striving to align with your higher purpose, there's a sacred fragility to your dreams. Not everyone can see what you see or feel what you feel, and that's exactly why protecting those dreams in their early stages is essential. For me, silence has become both a shield and a tool, allowing me to nurture my vision until the divine timing aligns perfectly. There was a time in my life when I thought that sharing my dreams openly would bring encouragement, but instead I found that external opinions often diluted my faith. Dreams, especially those tied to spiritual ascension, are delicate. They start as seeds planted deep within your soul, small, vulnerable, and still growing. When you expose those seeds too soon, they become subject to judgment, doubt, and misunderstanding. Even the most well-meaning people can unintentionally harm your vision because they're not equipped to understand the depth of your calling. For me, that realization was humbling but liberating. I learned that silence isn't about secrecy, it's about protection. Protecting your dreams, your energy, and your progress is an act of wisdom. Not every step of your journey needs to be broadcast to the world. Silence creates a space where your dreams can grow in peace, without the weight of external noise pulling them off course. It allows you to focus fully on your alignment, moving with the guidance of something far greater than yourself. Spiritual ascension requires a deep connection to the divine, and that connection thrives in quietness. Think about it. When your life is filled with chatter, noise, and other people's opinions, how can you hear the subtle whispers of divine guidance? I've experienced this firsthand. There were moments when I felt lost or uncertain, not because I lacked direction, but because I allowed too many outside voices into my sacred space. It was only when I returned to stillness, when I embraced silence, that I could hear the divine clearly and trust where I was being led. The truth is, not everyone is meant to walk with you during your ascension. The higher you rise spiritually, the more intentional you have to be about who you share your dreams with. People who don't understand your vision may project their limitations onto you, questioning whether you're ready, whether you're capable, or whether your path even makes sense. But what I've realized is this: your journey doesn't need to make sense to anyone but you and God. This is where divine timing comes in. Spiritual growth isn't about rushing to the finish line. It's about moving at the pace set for you by the divine. And in those quiet seasons of preparation, it's easy to feel like nothing is happening, like you're stagnant or unseen. I've felt that frustration before, wondering why I had to keep my dreams hidden when I was so eager to share them. But in hindsight, I can see that those silent seasons were the most powerful. They were where the real work was happening, where my faith was being strengthened, my vision was being refined, and my spirit was being prepared for what was to come. In that silence, I found alignment. I learned that my dreams weren't fragile because they were weak. They were fragile because they were sacred. When you treat your dreams with the reverence they deserve, you create space for them to flourish. You give yourself time to grow into the person who can carry those dreams forward. Now, I embrace silence as a part of my spiritual practice. I know that when I move quietly, I'm protecting my energy and creating room for divine timing to unfold perfectly. I trust that the right people, opportunities, and breakthroughs will come at the right moment, not a second sooner or later. If you're on a journey of spiritual ascension, I encourage you to do the same. Protect your dreams, Keep them close to your heart until they're strong enough to stand on their own. Let silence become your ally, and trust that in the stillness, you're being guided, prepared, and aligned. When the time comes, your growth will be undeniable, and your purpose will shine with a light that no one can ignore. The power of silence, not as a weakness, but as a shield and a stage. It took me years to realize that silence is one of the most powerful tools for protecting your dreams, nurturing your goals, and preparing for the success that is already on its way. In the beginning, I didn't fully understand it. I thought sharing my dreams with others would attract support, encouragement, or validation. But more often than not, it brought confusion, doubt, or unnecessary noise that clouded my focus. I used to feel the need to talk about everything I was working on, maybe out of a desire for reassurance or excitement. But I've learned that revealing my goals too early opens them up to external energy, opinions, doubts, and judgments that can disrupt their progress. In their early stages, goals are fragile and need time to grow and strengthen. Silence acts as a shield during this time, protecting my dreams while I do the inner work to bring them to life. Not everyone will understand or support your vision, and that's okay. I've learned that what's meant for me doesn't need validation from others. In the past, sharing my ideas led to doubts and criticism, which planted seeds of self-doubt. I realized the problem wasn't with the dream, it was with the timing of when I shared it. That's when silence became my greatest ally. When you keep your goals close to your chest, you give yourself the space to work on them without distraction. You allow yourself to grow in private, free from the noise and opinions of the outside world. It's in that quiet space that you truly find clarity and confidence. You're able to refine your vision, take intentional steps, and build a foundation strong enough to support the success you're working toward. Silence isn't just a shield, it's also a stage. Because here's the thing, success doesn't need to be announced. It speaks for itself. When you've put in the work, when you've stayed focused, and when you've allowed your goals to grow without interference, the results will eventually manifest in ways that no one can deny. People will see the progress you've made, the growth you've achieved, and the success you've created, not because you told them about it, but because it will be visible. I've come to love this process. There's a quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing you're working towards something greater, even if no one else sees it yet. It's a reminder that this journey is yours alone, and the only validation that truly matters comes from within. When you trust in yourself, trust in your vision, and trust in the process, you realize that external validation is unnecessary. Your success will show up in its own time, on its own stage, and it won't need anyone's permission to do so. To anyone who's chasing a dream, let me say this: protect it. In its early stages, let silence be your shield. Focus on the work, nurture your progress. Allow your goals to grow strong and resilient before you expose them to the world. There's no need to prove yourself to anyone along the way. Your success will be proof enough when the time is right. And when that moment comes, when your success stands on its own, you'll realize that the silence was never a void. It was preparation. It was the space where you became everything you needed to be to achieve your vision. Trust the process. Let your work speak louder than your words. And remember, silence isn't hiding, it's protecting. Your time will come. The immense power of restraint, particularly the restraint of speech and action. Proverbs 17:28 offers a deep insight into this idea, reminding us that even a fool who keeps silent is considered wise. It's a verse that often strikes me because it highlights a concept that goes beyond just the avoidance of speaking out of turn. It's a deeper truth about how silence cultivates clarity, creates room for divine guidance, and allows us to access wisdom in a way that words can never achieve. When I was younger, I often felt the need to fill every space with words, whether it was in conversation, debates, or even in my own thoughts. I believed that speaking up, sharing my opinions, and being loud about my plans was a sign of strength. But as time passed, I realized that my constant need to speak often clouded my judgment. I was too quick to react, too eager to assert my thoughts, and in doing so, I neglected the space needed for clarity and discernment. Restraint, especially when it comes to speech, has been a game changer. Proverbs 17:28 reveals that even the person who speaks the least, the one who holds their tongue, can appear wise. This wisdom is not because they necessarily know more than others, but because they understand the value of restraint. Silence isn't about being passive or avoiding conversation. It's about choosing when and how to speak and understanding that not every moment requires a response. As I've adopted this approach in my life, I've learned that silence doesn't create emptiness. Rather, it creates space. Space for reflection, space for clarity, and most importantly, space for divine intervention. When we restrain ourselves from jumping into every situation with a quick answer or opinion, we allow God to move in ways that we might not have anticipated. We stop filling the space with our own limited understanding and instead open ourselves up to receive wisdom from a higher source. This restraint has allowed me to take a step back and view situations from a broader perspective. I've become more aware of the energy around me and more attuned to the subtle messages that life and spirit offer. When I stopped rushing to voice my opinions or offer advice, I noticed that divine insights began to appear more clearly in my mind. The answers to challenges I faced were no longer drowned out by noise. They came to me in the stillness. Clarity is born in these moments of silence. It's in the pause before responding, in the quiet moments before making a decision, that I've been able to tap into a deeper wisdom. This clarity doesn't come from me. It comes from being present enough to listen, not just to others, but to the quiet voice within. I also realize that restraint helps me avoid unnecessary conflict. By refraining from speaking impulsively, I've stopped many situations from escalating. There's a power in holding back and letting things unfold naturally. In a world that often feels chaotic and fast-paced, choosing to pause and reflect before acting can prevent misunderstandings and missteps. This restraint allows for a more measured, thoughtful approach to life that fosters peace rather than agitation. Proverbs 17:28 also reminds me that wisdom often comes in the form of action rather than words. Silence is not a passive act. It's an active choice to hold space for something greater. The more I embrace this practice, the more I realize that it's not just about saying less, it's about receiving more. Through restraint, I've opened myself up to the wisdom of God, the wisdom of experience, and the wisdom that arises from deep reflection. It's a lesson I wish I had learned sooner, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to share it now. In every aspect of life, whether in business, relationships, or personal growth, restraint is a tool I lean on. It creates the space for clarity, for wisdom, and for divine guidance that leads me to where I need to be. In the stillness, I found my direction. In the silence, I heard the answers I was seeking. And now, more than ever, I embrace the power of restraint as a catalyst for transformation in my life. So when you find yourself in moments of uncertainty or overwhelmed by the noise of the world, remember that silence is not weakness. It is an opportunity. It is a powerful choice that cultivates clarity, wisdom, and divine guidance. The answers you seek may just be waiting for you in the stillness. The significance of divine timing and the role silence plays in it. Ecclesiastes 3:1 speaks to this truth so clearly. To everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. This verse has always resonated with me because it reminds me that there is a time for everything, and that includes silence. Silence, when embraced, has the ability to shield our goals from negative external influences, giving us the space to grow, reflect, and align with the divine rhythm of life. I used to think that being constantly busy, active, and vocal was the key to success. I believed that if I was always doing something, always moving forward, I would eventually reach my goals. But as I continued on this path, I began to notice something. The more I pushed, the more obstacles I seemed to encounter. The harder I worked, the more distractions and negativity I attracted. I realized I was out of sync with the natural flow of life, working against the current instead of flowing with it. That's when I began to truly understand the power of divine timing. Just as nature has its seasons, so do our lives. There's a time to plant, a time to grow, a time to harvest, and a time to rest. Silence, particularly in moments when we're working towards something significant, plays a crucial role in allowing divine timing to unfold. It's like giving the seeds of our dreams the space to take root before they are exposed to the world. Silence helps protect these dreams from external forces, whether it's criticism, negativity, or doubt, that can derail us before we're fully prepared to handle them. I've learned that silence is not inaction, it's purposeful stillness. It's a space where we pull back and allow our plans and dreams to mature in their own time. When we embrace this silence, we create a protected environment where we can focus on what truly matters without being distracted by the noise of the world. The more I've practiced embracing silence in my own life, the more I've seen how it allows me to grow at my own pace, to work quietly behind the scenes, and to trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Silence also shields us from negativity. When we're too vocal about our dreams and goals before they have had the chance to fully manifest, we often invite skepticism or criticism from others. These external voices can introduce doubt and confusion, making us question whether we're on the right path. But when we choose to remain silent, we protect our dreams from the noise. Silence allows us to hold our vision closely, nurturing it without exposing it to unnecessary scrutiny. It's a powerful act of faith, showing that we trust the timing of the universe and that we're willing to wait for the right moment to share our journey with the world. I've also come to understand that divine timing involves patience. We often feel an internal urge to rush things, to make them happen faster, especially when we're deeply passionate about our goals. But rushing can lead to missteps, missed opportunities, and burnout. In contrast, when we step into the flow of divine timing, we trust that there's a reason things are happening the way they are. Silence becomes the space where patience grows. It's where we surrender the need to control every outcome and instead allow life to unfold naturally. One of the most powerful realizations I've had in embracing divine timing and silence is that it's in the quiet moments that I've experienced the most clarity. In the stillness, I'm able to hear the small whispers of intuition that guide me. It's in the silence that I receive the divine insights and wisdom I need to move forward with confidence. Without this space for reflection, I would have missed out on these precious moments of guidance. Silence is where divine timing reveals its perfect plan, where everything aligns, and where we find peace in knowing that everything is happening exactly as it should. Looking back, I now understand that silence is not only a shield for our goals, but also a pathway to trust. Trusting in divine timing means accepting that everything will unfold in its own time, and we don't need to rush it. Silence is the act of trusting that the universe is always working on our behalf, even when we can't see it. It's in these quiet moments of faith that I've found my deepest growth, my greatest peace, and the ability to move forward with certainty. The power of inner stillness. Silence, often seen as mere absence of sound, has proven to be so much more than that. It is a tool for recalibration, resilience, and adaptation. It's through embracing stillness that I've been able to navigate setbacks and grow without being burdened by the weight of others' opinions. For years, I believed that constant action and validation from external sources were key to achieving my goals. I would push forward relentlessly, always seeking feedback and approval from others. But it wasn't until I started embracing the silence within that I began to understand its true value. I've realized that inner stillness is a space where I can reconnect with my core, with who I truly am, without the distractions of the world. It's in this space of quiet that I've learned to recalibrate, shifting my focus away from external pressures and aligning with my inner truth. This stillness isn't about avoiding challenges or becoming complacent. It's about taking a step back when things feel overwhelming, creating space for reflection, and allowing myself to recalibrate my energy and intentions. When life feels like it's moving too fast, or when the noise of the world feels too loud, that inner silence gives me the clarity to adjust and realign my path, making sure I'm moving in the right direction. What's been truly empowering is how resilience is nurtured through silence. Life often throws curveballs, setbacks, failures, and challenges that can easily derail our progress. But in these moments, I've discovered that it's not the obstacles that define me, it's how I respond to them. Inner stillness allows me to respond with resilience. Rather than reacting impulsively or getting swept up in negative emotions, silence gives me the space to pause, breathe, and gather my thoughts. This pause allows me to choose how I want to react, rather than being at the mercy of my emotions or the opinions of others. Without the influence of external noise, I've been able to face setbacks without becoming consumed by self-doubt. I'm able to evaluate situations from a calm, centered place, learning from my mistakes instead of being bogged down by them. This process of recalibration, finding balance again after being knocked off course, has been one of the most powerful tools I've cultivated in my life. When I give myself the permission to be silent, I'm better able to find solutions, develop strategies, and continue moving forward with renewed strength and wisdom. One of the greatest challenges in today's world is the pressure of external opinions. We live in an age where validation is often sought from others, especially through social media or in the workplace. It's easy to become entangled in the need for approval, constantly seeking affirmation from those around us. But I've found that the more I rely on external validation, the more I lose touch with my true self. The beauty of inner stillness is that it allows me to disconnect from the need for others' opinions. In silence, I can hear my own voice clearly, untainted by the judgments of others. I've come to understand that the opinions of others, while sometimes helpful, are not the determining factor of my success or worth. It's easy to feel discouraged when others don't see our vision or when they criticize our actions. However, the silence within me has allowed me to develop a strong sense of self-worth that is independent of others' approval. I no longer need others to understand my path because I trust in the process and the divine timing of my journey. This inner peace has given me the strength to continue pursuing my goals, even when others might not fully support me. Another important aspect of inner stillness is its ability to foster adaptation. Life is ever-changing, and in order to thrive, we need to be flexible. But flexibility doesn't come from constant movement or reacting to everything that happens. It comes from stillness. It's through silence that I've learned how to adapt to change more gracefully. Instead of resisting the flow of life, I've learned to observe, adjust, and move with it. Whether it's a change in my career, my relationships, or my personal aspirations, inner stillness has allowed me to stay grounded and adapt without losing sight of my long-term vision. In the end, inner stillness has empowered me to grow in ways I never thought possible. It's given me the space to recalibrate when life gets chaotic, the resilience to face challenges without being overwhelmed, and the ability to adapt to change without losing my sense of self. Through this quiet power, I've found that I am not defined by the noise around me, but by the stillness within me. And in that stillness, I've discovered a depth of strength and clarity that continues to guide me on my journey. I've come to understand that divine forces are not only present in times of need, but are always actively working to protect and guide those who are chosen. Psalm 91:11 has always stood out to me, for he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. This verse is a powerful reminder that I am never alone on this journey, and that the support I need is always available to me, often in unseen and unexpected ways. For years, I struggled to believe in this kind of support. I questioned whether divine forces were truly available, or if it was just a comforting thought, a way to make sense of the challenges I faced. But as I delved deeper into practices like meditation and silence, my perspective began to shift. It was through these practices that I started to truly feel a stronger connection to something greater than myself. In the stillness of meditation, I found a space where I could tune in to the subtle whispers of my spiritual guides. This was not just a mental exercise, it was a full-body experience. I began to feel protected and supported, as though invisible hands were holding me up, guiding me through the uncertainties of life. What has become clear to me is that silence and meditation are not just tools for relaxation or stress relief. They are powerful channels through which I connect with divine guidance. In the busyness of life, it's easy to become disconnected from this higher source of wisdom. Our minds get cluttered with daily distractions, opinions from others, and the constant rush of to-do lists. But when I sit in silence, I create the space for divine communication. In these moments, I feel the presence of my spiritual guides, providing me with clarity, comfort, and reassurance. One of the most powerful aspects of this connection is that it deepens over time. The more I meditate and embrace silence, the stronger the connection becomes. It's as though the more I trust in this divine guidance, the more I am able to see the evidence of it in my life. In times of struggle, I've felt the comforting embrace of spiritual support, as if my guides are telling me, "You are not alone. Keep going. We are here." This reassurance has become my foundation during challenging times, reminding me that no matter what I face, I have a source of strength that goes beyond my own limitations. What I've also learned through meditation is that spiritual guidance is not always immediate or dramatic. It's not always a loud voice or a sudden sign. More often, it's a gentle nudge, an inner knowing that guides my decisions in a way that feels natural and aligned with my highest good. There have been moments when I felt confused or uncertain about a direction to take, and in those moments of stillness, I've been given just enough clarity to make the right decision. It's as if the universe works in subtle ways, leading me step by step, always in the right direction, even if I can't see the entire path ahead. The verse in Psalm 91:11 reminds me that divine protection is an ongoing process. It's not just in times of crisis or danger that spiritual guides are present. They are with me every step of the way, offering support in both the big and small moments of life. I've come to realize that spiritual guidance is not about avoiding challenges or having everything go smoothly. It's about knowing that I am supported through everything. It's about trusting that even when things don't go as planned, I am being guided toward a higher purpose. One of the greatest gifts I've received from this connection with spiritual guidance is peace of mind. When life becomes overwhelming, I no longer feel the need to control every outcome. I can let go, trust in the process, and know that I am being guided toward what I need. This peace allows me to approach life with a sense of calm and assurance, even in the face of uncertainty. I know that I am being led in the right direction, and that is the most powerful form of support I could ever ask for. Through meditation, silence, and spiritual guidance, I've learned to trust that I am always being supported, protected, and guided by divine forces. These moments of stillness have become my sanctuary, where I can receive the guidance I need to navigate life's challenges. Psalm 91:11 speaks to the reality that we are never alone. The chosen ones are always surrounded by spiritual forces that are working to help us on our journey. And in embracing this truth, I've found a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and trust in the unfolding of my life. Over the years, I've come to realize just how essential daily silence is to my spiritual journey. It's in those moments of quiet reflection, prayer, and self-care that I find the clarity and resilience needed to stay aligned with my higher purpose. This daily practice has become a cornerstone of my life, a time where I can shed the distractions of the outside world and reconnect with my inner self. It's during these moments of stillness that I find the strength to continue moving forward with purpose and intention. In the beginning, I didn't fully appreciate the power of silence. It was easy to get caught up in the noise of daily life, the constant busyness, the external pressures, and the endless to-do lists. But over time, I learned that without creating intentional space for silence, I was losing touch with the deeper aspects of myself. I was living on autopilot, reacting to life's challenges without truly reflecting on what I wanted or needed. It wasn't until I began to prioritize silence that I noticed how much more centered and focused I became. At first, it was challenging to sit in silence. My mind was often racing, filled with thoughts, worries, and distractions. But I stuck with it, knowing that the benefits would eventually become clear. And they did. What I learned is that silence is not an absence of noise, but a space where I can listen, not just to the world around me, but to the quiet voice within. In those moments, I've discovered that prayer isn't just about asking for guidance or strength. It's about being still enough to receive the answers that are already within me. The more I leaned into these quiet moments, the more I began to hear my true desires, my spiritual purpose, and my deepest calling. Through daily reflection, I've learned to check in with myself regularly. This practice isn't just about thinking through my day or analyzing my actions. It's about creating space to pause and ask, am I still aligned with my higher purpose? I've found that when I make reflection a daily habit, I'm more attuned to my inner guidance. It's easy to get swept up in the urgency of life and forget why I'm doing what I'm doing. But taking time each day to reflect helps me recalibrate and return to my center. This practice ensures that I'm not just moving through life on autopilot, but rather with intentionality and alignment with the values that matter most to me. Prayer is another important practice that has become a central part of my daily silence. It's a way for me to communicate with the divine, to seek guidance, and to express gratitude. But beyond that, prayer has become a way to ground myself in my higher purpose. When I pray, I'm reminded that I am part of something much larger than myself, and that my life has a purpose that is guided by divine forces. In these moments of prayer, I often feel a deep sense of peace and reassurance, knowing that I am supported by something greater than myself. This connection keeps me centered, especially in moments of uncertainty or doubt. Self-care is another key aspect of my daily silence. It's easy to think of self-care as a luxury, something that only happens occasionally or when life becomes overwhelming. But I've learned that self-care isn't just about pampering myself. It's about nurturing my mind, body, and soul regularly. In the stillness of these moments, I can tend to my inner needs, whether that means resting, journaling, meditating, or simply being present with myself. I've found that taking time each day to care for myself enhances my ability to show up in the world with clarity and focus. It's in these quiet moments that I recharge, renew, and prepare myself to step back into the world with a stronger sense of purpose. The more I make silence a daily practice, the more I realize that it's not just about the act of sitting in stillness. It's about reclaiming my time and energy to ensure that I am aligned with my higher purpose. In the rush of life, it's easy to forget why we do what we do, but through daily silence, I'm reminded of my true purpose. I'm reminded that life is not just about what I accomplish, but about the way I show up, centered, intentional, and with a deep sense of connection to something greater. In embracing this practice, I've noticed that my resilience has grown. The challenges that once seemed overwhelming no longer feel as daunting. I've developed a deeper sense of patience, trust, and understanding that I am always supported by something greater than myself. The quiet moments of reflection, prayer, and self-care give me the strength I need to stay grounded, even when life throws unexpected curveballs. Ultimately, daily silence nurtures purpose by creating the space for reflection, renewal, and alignment. It allows me to stay focused on what truly matters, helping me remain resilient in the face of adversity and ensuring that I live my life with intentionality and clarity. It's in these moments of stillness that I find the answers I've been seeking, the courage to keep going, and the peace that comes from knowing I'm walking my path with purpose.